Hey everybody, it's Amber Ashley, co-founder of She's Lit. Today I'm back with another Monday motivation. Now I know you're probably wondering, why can I only hear you and I don't see you in a video like you've been promising? All right, sis, let me tell you, my phone has been tripping. So instead of me popping out and saying, hey, I'm not gonna do one, I decided to at least make a voice recording. Now, I know in most of my videos, I typically say they're going to be short and sweet and to the point. However, this particular segment isn't going to be so short, but it's still going to be sweet. Okay? At least I'm keeping it real with you. I hope you can agree. So if you're interested in kind of getting motivated in a different way, because I do believe that this is going to be a little different than what you're normally used to getting from me, then keep listening. So back about 8 years ago, I was with this company I had worked for many years. And like any other job, they did random drug tests. Now, trust me, sis, I was never worried about anybody's drug test. And I can only say that because I've never done any kind of drug in my entire life. And I've never drank anything like alcoholic whatsoever in my whole life. So anytime I've got selected for a drug test, I kind of saw it as a way to just have an extra break. I mean, come on. I mean, get out the office. Why not? So this particular time I was selected for a random drug test, and like all the others, I was super excited and ready to get out of there. I went ahead and went down to the drug testing place as usual, did what I needed to do, which you guys all know when you take a drug test. Went on, got lunch, and went back to the office. By the time I made it back into the office, and, got back, to my desk, started opening my emails and all that good stuff, I had gotten a call from my boss to come down to her office. Now, hold up, before you start thinking anything crazy, she always had me come to her office. I probably should have been being paid for therapy. I mean, she was always talking to me about like stuff that was going on, and, I always just gave advice. So I didn't think too much of it when I was being called to come down to her office. So went down to her office as normal, sat down and was ready to hear the tea. Well, to my surprise, I was told right then and there that I did not pass my drug test. I was in shock. Okay? I just knew they had the wrong person, or they switched my urine, or some kind of crazy something happened, because there was absolutely no way I didn't pass a drug test. She then informed me that the drug testing people told her I was so drunk that they didn't even know how I even made it to work. My heart sank. I was like, wait, what? What are you? And I asked her, I said, do I look like I'm drunk? I've never drank anything. And she's like, well, this is what they're saying. I was so hurt. Of course, I started crying, not because I was sad, but in that very moment, I felt like my identity was being attacked, or my character more so probably. And I was just hurt because I'm like, they knew me for years, so they knew I wasn't about that life. And I knew I hadn't drank anything. Anyways, she ended up sending me home because you have to go home because they kind of investigate. So, and before I left, she told me to write down everything I had eaten the night before, all the way up until that day, and anything I may have drank, because maybe there was something in something that caused this reading. I knew for a fact that couldn't be the case, but I went ahead and humored her anyways. Went home, made the list, called people, because I was just so distraught. I was crying, and everyone who knew me was like, yeah, there's gotta be something up. And they all knew, so they were trying to call me and be like, you didn't do anything, so just relax. Anyways, the next day comes, I go into work. I wasn't told not to, so I went ahead and headed into work. As soon as I had gotten in, went into my office, logged into my computer and all that good stuff, I was called back down to my boss's office. I didn't know what I was going to be told at this point. So I went ahead, went down to her office. Then, to my surprise, she began to apologize. She was like, Amber, I'm so sorry. Even the drug testing place, they said that they apologized, and they were able to get down to the bottom of it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So who was it? Who did it? I was like, I wanted the deets. And she said, well, basically what they ended up finding was not that you had been drinking or had any alcohol, your your sugar levels were so high that they fermented in your system and they were reading as alcohol. I was like, what? I didn't even really know how to process that. I didn't even know what that really meant, but it didn't sound too good to me. She then told me that I probably should make an appointment with my doctor just to see what's going on and see if they have any solutions or reasons why this could happen. So I was like, okay. So I ended up making an appointment with my doctor. They were able to get me in that day. Now, let me go ahead and throw this little piece in there too. I haven't really been going to the doctors regularly, so this probably would never have came up. Because I just didn't. I never really went to the doctors. My family, growing up, we didn't really go to the doctors. My parents didn't really take us like regularly. It was kind of like that tough love, you know, you get hurt, you tough it out, or you're sick and you just wait it out. We didn't really run to the doctors a lot. So it just never dawned on me, even in my adult life, to make appointments and just do checkups. Anyways, back to the doctor's office. So I'm in the doctor's office and I'm explaining all this to my doctor because, you know, it's crazy. And I want everyone to hear who could hear, you know, at that point, because I just couldn't believe it. I explained it to her and she was like, wow. So she's like, well, I know some tests that I want to run and let's see what they say first. And then if those aren't it, we'll go back to the drawing boards. She's like, either way, we're going to pretty much figure out what's going on. So I was like, okay. So she ran her tests and did some labs and all that fun stuff. Eventually, she came back to me and she told me that I was diabetic type 2. I was like, who? To be honest, I know that sounds kind of funny, but I hadn't really heard much about diabetes. No one in my family really suffered from them and no one ever talked about it. I remember seeing like small things maybe here and there, maybe on TV and like passing about it, but I only heard horrific things like people could lose their limbs but I really didn't understand it. I later found out that my biological mother had type 2 diabetes, and so it did run on her side of the family. But again, I didn't grow up with her, and that's a whole nother part of my testimony. And she had given me up, so I didn't know anything about her. So the doctor explained to me what it was. The crazy part about the doctors when they explain is they just bombard you with all this information. And it's almost like hearing like on Charlie Brown. Like that's all I pretty much was hearing because I was in so much shock that I was being told that I had diabetes. And as young as I am, I just couldn't believe it. And because of my age, my doctor was super like on 10 because I'm so young. She was just like, we've got to tackle this thing, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I pretty much was in denial. Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I was pretty much in denial. She told me, gave me all the information, but it didn't really sink in. I don't know if it was just like the shame or what, to be honest. At that time, I don't know. I didn't think it was real. Nevertheless, I got put on medication. Again, I was super in denial. Didn't really follow through with the medication like I was supposed to, so things did get worse. Then pretty much after that, I ended up being on pretty much any medication you can think of for diabetes, I pretty much was on. And eventually I did have to get on insulin because none of the medication was cutting it and I was not making any life changes. Now, I want to get to the good part. The part that really changed my life and caused me to get over this, basically, get rid of it. I don't even know the best way to say it. But this is what happened. Let me a little backtrack a little. So in the midst of me finding out that I was diabetic, I had also taken on raising my niece at the time. And it was, I don't have kids of my own. And so it was almost like becoming a mother overnight. So I was just like overwhelmed, stressed out. You can only imagine there were so many things from the state. She needed a lot of my attention and I love her. So I wasn't worried about that. There was just a whole lot going on. So I just kind of didn't know how to handle or juggle any of it. Let's just be real. So this one particular night, I was putting her to bed. And I typically always put her to bed around the same time because I needed to take my insulin shot. And I didn't want her to see me taking the shot. I felt ashamed, to be honest. I felt just embarrassed that I had gotten so out of control, that I had this disease, that I couldn't conquer. It was just ridiculous. So I put her to bed so she could go, so she could do her thing, go to sleep. I could get my medicine in. She wouldn't know and keep on going. So this particular night, I'm going to take my insulin. I put in the needle, all that good stuff. And have you ever felt like someone was watching you and so you just kind of like stop? Well, that's what happened. I felt like some eyes were just on me for some reason. I turned my head and lo and behold, she was standing right there in the doorway. And the look on her face, I will never forget. There were so many emotions in her one facial expression that I can't really pinpoint exactly what it was I was seeing, but I had never seen her look that way. I know that she was concerned. I know she was probably a little frightened because she had never seen anyone, injecting themselves with a needle. And she didn't even know what was going on. So I hurried up, I pulled off the needle, and I tried to pretend as if maybe she didn't see anything. Although, if anyone knows her, she didn't see it all. So anyways, I tried to rush her back to bed, and she just goes, Tinty, what were you doing? Why were you doing that? And all I could muster up to say was, well, TT's really sick, and this is what I gotta do to stay healthy. And she replied, well, can I just do it for you? And in that moment, my whole thought process changed. My heart just sank. And I thought to myself, how in the world am I going to take care of this precious little girl and not even be able to take care of myself? How do I expect to be around to help raise her if I'm slowly dying myself because I can't get past this disease? That night changed it all. I literally put her to bed and began to pray. And I just poured my whole entire heart out to the Lord. And I just told him it all. And I cried and I just released it. And then God showed me what he wanted me to do. Now, I'm not going to go through the details of everything that I did, although it's fairly simple, and I'm willing to share that with you if you would like. So you can always comment or send me a message, an email, anything. I love connecting with you guys. I just don't want to make this longer than it probably needs to be because already this is longer than I've ever put out anything. But I just want to tell you, after making the changes that I made, I was no longer diabetic. I went back to the doctors months later and they couldn't find anything. They ran every test. My doctor was actually upset with me because I stopped taking all of my medication without asking her. But that's a whole other story, and I'll tell you what I did if you want to know. But I really wanted to share this little piece of my testimony with you just to encourage you not to give up. I don't care if doctors have told you that it's the end, if they pretty much wrote you a death sentence, because that's what it felt like to me. I don't care if people around you are telling you that you're never going to overcome that thing, whatever that thing is. It doesn't have to be a sickness like mine was. It can be anything. But I just want to let you know that you are not bound by the things that you're going through. Those things that you're currently, maybe struggling with, or fighting, or battling, or whatever it is, just know that you don't have to stay stuck in that thing. That thing doesn't have to hover over your head or be the label that goes before you. I just want to encourage you because I know what it's like, and I know how it was to be in a place where I felt hopeless and I felt like life was over, and I'm starting to get emotional because I remember that time. And I really just want to make sure that I am, expressing to you how important it is to remember who you are, to remember that you don't have to claim anything that does not belong to you, which is sickness, poverty, lack, anything that is just not who you are. You don't have to claim those things. I don't care how many doctors may have told you Because the doctors, I promise you, when I was going through it, pretty much told me this was the rest of my life. And I just needed to accept it and to do what I needed to do to pretty much pacify the symptoms. But I would never get rid of it. That's what I was pretty much told. And I believed it at first. I can't even sit up here in front. I believed it at first. And that's why I pretty much was in denial. And that's why I pretty much just gave up. Like, I didn't even care until that one night. And God knew. I'm going to tell you this. God knows how to reach you. He knew that I probably would never have gone to the doctor unless it was something super crazy, ridiculously stupid. Like, something to the point of me failing a drug test, which I've never failed in my life. He knew that that was the way to reach me, because I would have never gone. And who knows what would have happened then. But because of that, it caused me to trust him as Jehovah Jireh. Not Jireh. Well, I do trust him as Jehovah Jireh. It caused me to trust him as Jehovah Rapha, my healer. I know him as a healer now. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, can tell me that God cannot heal, because he did it for me. And if he did it for me, he can do it for you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to end this voice recording. But if you would like prayer, if you want more details on how I actually executed killing diabetes off of my life, what that looked like, what I did, any way I can help you, let me know. I have no problem making a video or a voice recording if I have to, if the video's not working. I have no problem doing that for you. We're here for each other. And to me, that's so important. It's just encouraging each other through the things that we've been through, things that we've gone through, because I want to help the next and then the next, because quite frankly, I hear too many people on a daily who are suffering from diabetes. Again, this is not just about diabetes. It can be about anything, but I hear it too often, literally about people in diabetes, and it blows my mind, because it's like I see myself all over again when I hear them, because they talk from like this death sentence kind of place, this place of defeat. And I was there. And now I can talk from a place of victory, because I no longer have that hovering over my head. So again, if you would like to know any more of that journey, I promise you I will make that video. I might just make some more, because I really feel strongly about this. And I hope that this motivated you in just a different kind of way. Please share with someone who you know could use this little bit of motivation through a part of my testimony. I love y'all so much, and I'm so thankful that God put us in each other's path. I'm here to do life with you. Again, think of me as your cheerleader, cheering you on the sidelines of life. You got this, girl. And I can't wait to talk to you in another Monday Motivation.